Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Jorge Lopez and I lead the Analytics Partners segment at AWS. For the next 20 minutes, I will be talking about some of the key trends that we are seeing in analytics and how customers are using these trends to fuel innovation. But first, let me share my screen. So I think we can all agree that data has become the most valuable asset for organizations. Even The Economist declared about 3 years ago that the world's most valuable resource was no longer oil, but data. And sure enough, just a couple of months ago, we learned that the Dow Jones Industrial finally dropped its oldest member, one of the oil giants. As of September, Chevron remains the only energy stock in the Dow Jones. And this is something we understood very early at Amazon. A good example is this flywheel. What you see on the left could be considered an early representation of a business model. The premise is that if you can deliver a positive customer experience, then more users will come. This in turn attracts new sellers who want to position products on their properties, increasing the selection and improving the customer experience. This creates a feedback loop that also allows you to gain economies of scale to lower your cost structure and pass those savings to the consumer. It's a pretty simple concept. However, what's often overlooked is what's behind this model. Data. Data is what makes this possible. So I went ahead and built my own geeky version of this diagram. The idea is that if you are able to collect and store every relevant data point about your business and have the ability to analyze all of that data in different ways, it will fuel innovation and lead to a competitive advantage. So it's not surprising that companies who excel at managing data are outpacing their peers in terms of growth. If you flip this around, that means tremendous opportunity for everyone who embraces data. In fact, a study performed by A.T. Kearney and the Melbourne Business School found that companies at the lowest stage of maturity can see profit increases of more than 60% by embracing analytics. But the challenge is that traditional architectures, the legacy on-prem data warehouse, can no longer keep up with the requirements of the business. Among other problems, these architectures only work with the structured data. They have limited scalability and require large capital expenses. And that's why we see more and more organizations rethinking their approach to analytics and taking advantage of a broad set of trends and technologies that allow them to use data as a source of competitive differentiation. Now, let's take a look at 3 specific trends that are enabling companies to use data as a source of competitive differentiation. First, we see that companies across the board, from high-tech startups to very traditional and large enterprises, are modernizing their architectures to a data lake on the cloud. And very often, customers start by moving from their legacy on-prem data warehouse to a modern data warehouse on the cloud. During the modernization process, they move data to object stores like Amazon S3, using it as a sort of staging area before loading the data into the data warehouse. And by doing so, they trigger a process in which the success of modern data warehouses sparks the appetite for more data by new and more diverse users. Since a lot of data is already on S3, these new users, including analysts, data scientists, and developers, can securely access the data with a broad set of tools, including big data frameworks like our partner Qubole. And it is then that organizations make a deliberate decision to move to a data lake architecture. Once there, they may need to complement their data with more insights from real-time streaming data. And finally, with the proper governance controls, data preparation, data catalogs, and policies, they can start experimenting with a broader set of analytics, including machine learning. Experiments are very low cost, and you can get results fairly quickly, so that if an experiment fails, you can just take the learnings and move on to the next experiment. And if you compare this to the world before the cloud, This is a fundamental shift in how companies conduct analytics. In the old world, it could be months and hundreds of thousands of dollars before you could run an experiment. Today, you can deploy what you need within hours and pay only for what you use, and then shut down the infrastructure once you're done. So what exactly is a data lake? Well, first, let me tell you what it is not. A data lake is not a single tool or platform. Instead, you should think about the data lake as an architectural approach, one that allows you to store all your data into a central repository to be categorized, processed, analyzed, and consumed by diverse groups within an organization. A data lake extends your cloud data warehouse, providing an agile, scalable, and secure architecture to help you drive innovation at a very low cost. A data lake allows you to decouple storage from compute, so you can scale each resource independently and use the best tool for the analytic job at hand. Similarly, a data lake allows you to store virtually any type of data you need. And this is particularly important because a lot of the data being generated today comes in a wide variety of formats, such as images, audio, text documents, and semi-structured log files. Increasingly, customers are embracing open standards and the Apache open source technologies to store and analyze data. This way, they are not bound or locked into proprietary formats or platforms. Also, data can be stored as is. There is no need to convert it into a predefined schema, and you no longer need to know what questions you want to ask from your data beforehand. This provides tremendous flexibility and agility, as opposed to the rigid data models of traditional architectures. One of the key advantages of the data lake is that it opens the door for a much broader set of analytics and tools to get insights from your data. From operational analytics, visualizations, and data warehousing, to big data processing, real-time analytics, and even predictive analytics and machine learning. All of this running against the same copy of the data. And most of these tools come with a pay-as-you-go model, so you only pay for what you use. Now let's move on to the second trend, machine learning. According to the Boston Consulting Group, 9 out of 10 companies are investing in artificial intelligence. However, we've heard from customers that one of the biggest challenges to machine learning is precisely cleansing and preparing the data. The good news is that once customers have built their data lakes on the cloud, they are ready to embark on machine learning initiatives. A data lake on the cloud makes it very easy to identify, cleanse, and prepare the datasets needed to develop, test, and deploy machine learning models at scale. But again, what's machine learning? Well, for this, I would like to borrow a slide from one of my colleagues at AWS, who simply defines machine learning as using information you do have to generate information you do not have. And of course, this is something we've tried to do since a very long time ago. Like 200 or 300 years ago, there were already people trying to devise forms to creating insurance. However, the value of ML comes from the ability to make more predictions, more relevant, in less time, and at a lower cost. Moreover, this technology now has the potential to solve some of the biggest problems we are facing. That's why today we're seeing promising opportunities in machine learning in areas like climate change, agriculture, and public health. Today, predictions are going beyond traditional use cases, such as demand forecasting, insurability, and business intelligence. They're going from there to far more sophisticated applications like preventive maintenance, autonomous driving, preventive medicine, and radiology. And of course, this is an area where Amazon has also made significant investments and thus has accumulated extensive experience from initiatives such as Amazon Echo devices, Amazon Go stores, Prime Air, and even its fulfillment centers. A well-architected data lake on AWS allows organizations to start their journey to improve business outcomes through machine learning and artificial intelligence. In the end, your machine learning models are only as good as the underlying data. That's why you want to make sure you have a solid foundation. Once your data is stored, cleansed, and categorized, you can feed the right data sets to a very broad set of machine learning and AI services. For example, in the case of AWS, you can use services like Amazon Personalize to create real-time personalized user experiences using the same machine learning technology used by Amazon.com. Or you can use Amazon Comprehend to discover insights and relationships in text. Or if you are a developer, you can use Amazon SageMaker to build, train, and deploy your own machine learning models, all against the same copy of the data. Now, let's recap where we are. So far, we have talked about data lakes and machine learning. So the next question might be, how do I put all these pieces together? Now, this high-level diagram shows the different components you need to build a complete data pipeline for analytics and machine learning on AWS. Of course, there are many different ways of doing this, including a rich community of AWS partners who add value to our customers with technologies as well as consulting offerings. But the point here is to give you a sense of the different pieces that you will need, going from data sources to pipelines, into the data lake, and then analytics and machine learning. Now let's move on to data governance and data monetization. The more data you collect and use, the more critical it is to have a sound data governance strategy. This is especially important given the evolving regulatory landscape where failure to comply with laws such as GDPR can result in significant fines to the business. So it's not a surprise that just last year, Enterprise Strategy Group found that more than 1 in 3 companies cite data privacy and governance as one of the key challenges to digital transformation initiatives. The first step towards data governance, of course, starts with security. On this front, AWS has been architected to be one of the most flexible and secure cloud computing environments available today. And one of the nice things about AWS is that our customers inherit all the best practices, policies, architecture, and operational processes built to satisfy the requirements of our most security-sensitive customers. Now, when it comes to security, you need to make sure you cover aspects such as authorization, authentication, auditing, monitoring, and encryption, both at rest as well as in motion. But governance goes far beyond security, addressing issues such as data privacy, providing data lineage, data provenance, and dozens of regulatory programs that can vary depending on the location and the specific industry where you operate and do business. And the scary thing is that many organizations are not even able to answer some of the most basic questions about their data. Ask a CFO about their balance sheet, assets, liabilities, cash flows, and they will answer immediately. Ask a CIO or a CDO about what data they have. Where do they store their sensitive data, such as PII? How much of it are they collecting? And it might be a different story. Now, data catalogs can help answer some of these questions. A data catalog is a key component of any data lake, not only from a data governance point of view, but also when it comes to new business initiatives. Organizations need to know what data is available to them. Specifically, in the case of data lakes, users need ways to easily find the data that has been cleansed, anonymized, and prepared for analytics. This helps users focus on the most valuable tasks, like building modern data applications and analytic models, instead of wasting time trying to find and cleanse the right data. Similarly, any regulatory compliance initiative is built on a foundation of being able to document, audit, and trace information assets. Another key challenge with data governance is data privacy. Today, regulations like GDPR and CCPA place an enormous burden on organizations with multiple articles and directives. However, if we look closer, turns out a big part of these challenges are related to the collection and use of personally identifiable information, PII. Turns out PII is at the core of many of these problems, including things like data breaches, rogue agents, even second-party misuse. So what if we could just simply get rid of PII while still maintaining the analytic value of data? That takes us to the concept of a de-identified data lake. The idea is to attack the root of the problem by de-identifying and protecting sensitive information, even before it enters your data lake. By minimizing storage and use of PII, you can significantly reduce the risk for data breaches and misuse of data, and lower compliance costs, all without losing the ability to understand and use your data for a competitive advantage. Now, I won't go into the specific details of this architecture because this is not a technical session. But this is how kind of a high-level blueprint looks like. You can see many of the components that I talk about through this presentation, including the ability to collect and identify and store the data into a central repository. You will find a data catalog to categorize your data assets and provide data lineage, analytic frameworks and tools to slice and dice the data, as well as security services to authenticate, authorize, and monitor data assets. Most importantly, this is how all the three trends that I've been talking about, data lakes, machine learning, and data governance, converge into a single architecture. And all of this points us into a new direction, data monetization. One study from McKinsey Institute found that leading organizations, those that experience rates of more than 10% of organic revenue growth and EBIT over the past 3 years, also seem to be much better at monetizing data. This includes developing entirely new business models and creating utility-like services for data. Yet, another study quoted by the MIT Sloan Management Review found that only 1 in 12 organizations are monetizing their data to its fullest extent. Data monetization is not entirely new either. Traditionally, organizations have focused on leveraging data to improve products, lower costs, and gain operational efficiencies. And if you're doing this, you're on the right track, but it's not enough. Today, data monetization is about creating new revenue streams by making data available to customers and partners. Data monetization is about making data itself a product and a source of differentiation. But to do that, first you have to master all of the other aspects I mentioned before. Modernizing your architecture to a data lake on the cloud, using machine learning to automate tasks and make relevant predictions from your data, and establishing a sound data governance strategy to turn your data into an asset while protecting data privacy and regulatory compliance. So finally, just to recap, a data lake provides an architectural framework to collect, store, catalog, and prepare your data for analytics, making it easier to drive innovation by using a broad set of analytic and machine learning tools. Machine learning services today allows us to automate predictions and uncover hidden insights from your data. With a data lake on the cloud, you can use a broad set of machine learning tools to make more predictions faster, in less time, and at a lower cost than ever before. Now, data governance is the key that allows you to navigate the evolving regulatory landscape, helping you to turn data from a liability into an asset. And just before I go, I would like to share a few resources in case you want to learn more. The first one is a video that walks through the data flow for analytics and machine learning. Numbers 2 and 3 will take you to analytics on machine learning and machine learning solutions from our top partners, including Qubole. And last but not least, I've also included a link to learn more about Qubole Data Service on AWS. And with that, I would like to thank you for watching this session and hope you continue to enjoy the Data Lake Summit. Thank you.